highly anticipated day, and it's finally here with the launch of the all-new Santro. Now, we've been talking about this for so much time. We've also been seeing little glimpses of the car. We finally get to see it in its entirety, and the first thing that hits you, of course, is the design, and that's what's going to happen for a lot of customers. So to talk about that, who better than the man who heads design for Hyundai Motor globally and is here visiting us, talking specifically about the Santro. Mr. Sungyuk Lee, it's great to see you.
Nice meeting you.
And thank you for your time today. First up, like I said, the first thing you see about a car, of course, is the way it looks. I think, you know, in the Indian context, if you go back 10 years, I think mileage was the #1 consideration. But more and more now, for people, styling has become a huge consideration. It's probably right up there in the top 3 considerations. So from your perspective then, when you think about first, the segment, and second, the Indian market, what was the most crucial aspect that you had to address?
I must say the Indian customer is our top customer.
Very demanding. Yeah.
The styling is one of the biggest purchase reason, obviously, but at the same time, practicality is as equally as important for the market itself. So capturing these two, the main factor in the styling and then the practicality, designer always have to balance to come up with a great solution.
You know, for me, I have to say, and we can show people the car as we are talking. The constraints that you have when you are approaching a small car project. I mean, this has to be sub 4 meter. It has to have a certain amount of, cabin room at the same time. You can't compromise on making the car attractive. Doing a small hatchback then, does that become the toughest challenge for a designer?
It is definitely tough. It's tougher than a sports car, that's for sure. Once again, this practicality. But at the same time, we asked ourselves, because of all these criteria, why can't we make something more iconic, or something even more special that appeals to the customer? This is all about first generation Santro, also about a tall boy, lots of practicality. Because of the tall character, it really pops on the street. So that spirit, we still have it on the new car, but in a way of a translation, in a way of a very contemporary and a modern way of it. So as you see, the car is tall, and then but the wider and the longer than the first generation. So even though the car is tall, still adding a lot more sportier character you can find around it. And also all the design element here is not only the styling part of it, but also the function is driven. So everything has a reason for being what it is. So for example, we have a really low, big wide grille on the car. Obviously, we put the big wide grille because the temperature here in India is much warmer than the rest of the country. So cooling is so important. So this car takes a lot of air into the car. And when we look at the design, and when we look at in the studio, that is very unique. Why not make an even grille wider to extend it to the fog lamp all the way around it? So it happened to be really wide, to have a corner-to-corner grille and the headlamp sitting on the top of it that creates very unique, distinctive face out of it. Even on the fog lamp, I'm actually quite happy to introduce, because this family car segment, A segment, car got lifted because of the road condition and everything. And also at the same time, the fog lamp usually sit lower part here. Obviously, because of that reason, easy to get scratch and damage. Yeah. So we actually raised the fog lamp up and protected by this grille extension. So it's actually the functional part, but at the same time, it creates a unique design character out of it. Actually, it's this really continues all the way around the vehicle.
Please
for example,
tell me more, because these are the things I want to hear from you.
We have this wavy belt line, adding a lot of character to the vehicle, but once again, there's a reason the why, because this car being a family car, the back seat comfort is so important. So as you see the space, the shoulder-to-shoulder distance, we are the widest interior space, the best in the class. But when you actually sit to the other passengers so close together, sometimes you feel like a claustrophobia around you. So we have a way belt line. The lower drops quite a bit. It opens a lot of visibility when you sit inside of the car.
Get a good sense of space.
Exactly, and then that is also not only adding the wide visibility, but also adding very unique, interesting design character out of it. And normally, this size, this segment of the car, body side is rather simple. It's because it's a smaller car. There's not much room to play around. We actually challenge the other way around. Why not? That this car emphasizes the fender very strong to be more powerful, like muscular, the statement around it. So we add the line is called a boomerang line.
This one.
Yeah, it's kind of like it look like a boomerang that you can throw and you can catch afterwards. And having this, it's a very the eye-catching design
It's
element. You can really recognize, oh, that line only Santro has
it
it.
straight
Yeah,
away.
exactly. One of our very important USP eye-catcher.
What part of this? I mean, of course, there are like you said, elements which have to be new or extremely sort of recognizable. But what part of it also then harks back to the first Santro? I mean, yes, it's a tall boy, but is there something that you specifically kept in mind, saying, hey, let's not maybe use the exact element, but almost like an homage, almost like a little tribute to that car?
I think that is a very good question, I have to say, because we study a lot. We study a lot, and ask the question to ourselves, what is the real DNA of Santro? Yeah, and we came up with the idea the Santro was the people's car, and it's actually specifically designed for lifestyle of the India, and now for 5 people, they easily in and out of the car. The space is important, and I think that and also the character, the tall boy character, to make a car very distinctively look different than any others. So those are the 2 elements that we carried on to make sure that we capture the new Santro has it. So in a way, we actually get the pure DNA of the original car, but not literally translate into the modern car. So you can feel and sense all the way around the car, but at the same time, look very fresh and unique, contemporary design statement.
It's not that one thing you can point to, it's the whole
Right,
feeling.
right, it's the whole feelings.
You know, you mentioned something about how there are certain things that you just had to do from the perspective of what the customer is looking for, especially because it's a family car. Now, you mentioned right at the start that you purposely made the car very nice and wide for that. Now, dimension is one thing, but of course perception sometimes is another. So
Right.
was it also your intent to visually make the car look wider? You mentioned the grille, but was this always there from the before anything went onto paper? Was it always a
I
thought for
think
you?
this is one of our intention. It's actually we're creating the tall boy, but not in a way of a fresh modern way of interpreting the tall boy. And why not making it wider and tall, and making longer and tall within the perimeter what we have? If you can make something special out of it, this could be very, very cool. So there's intention. We want to have a grille be very big. The headlamp sits on the top of it, creating very unique design architecture out of it. And the same thing continues to the rear, to the body side. So I must say that the Indian market is getting tougher and tougher, especially in this the compact segment. So you got to do something, the spice on the top of it. So otherwise, you're not going to notice by customer. And the top customer, obviously, we have to deal with.
How tempting was it to do something like a daytime running light? I mean, it doesn't have to be LED because costs I know are a consideration. But did you go in that direction at all?
Absolutely. The light is actually a very, very important design signature these days, even though it's a functional statement. So it has to fulfill the customer, the character of the design and the functionality at the same time. So this is why we actually put in the lamp in a very unique way. So the grille is so big, and the fog is actually being incorporated with the grille together, and the DRL is actually the low-cost lamp, the incandescent bulb type, but it has a lot of the emotional characters. When it's on, you definitely see there's actually the quite unique and different character coming at you from long distance.
So it's not conventional also?
It's not conventional. When actually always when we design something, customer always kind of like they have a common sense. Oh, the headlamp should be the eyes somewhere there. The grille is like a nose in the middle of it. The bumper being mouth, and it's in a way that is a philosophy a lot of companies use it, probably the older company. If you actually start breaking that a little bit, you can get a lot of more fresh fillings around it. Imagine if you have a headlamp always like a 45 degree from the grill, all of a sudden you make the grill wide and headlamp sits on the top of it. This is a different architecture. And I think always the challenge the customer expectation to be a little bit more special, a little bit more unique, different, adding more freshness to it.
How does it connect to the rest of the portfolio in terms of fitting in with Hyundai's design language? I see a little bit of the cascade grille, of course, there.
Yes.
But in keeping with what's happening both globally and with the portfolio in India, how does it connect?
Obviously, we have a global car that we have a design strategy, which we used to call it the family look. Basically, all the front and the body side architecture is the same, a little bit like the German company does. It's the reason that we did was actually customer able to recognize it's a Hyundai car from long distance. But actually, the customer taste and trend is very diversified this day. You can have you can have a one face to all the portfolio lines. So this is why we have to move on.
What do you call this? I mean, you have
we call this Hyundai look.
Okay.
Almost imagine as a chess. You know, chess. The king, queen, bishop, knight. They all look different. They function different, but they together they work as a team together. So this is
nice.
It has a cascading grille, but it's a different cascading grille than we used to be. This is only the starting point, and you will find in the future with our upcoming cars next year and the year after, maybe our design spectrum was only this much. You will see this much
wider.
Stay very, very wide. So people who has a young, the youthful mind, definitely we go at it. People who are looking for more mature design character, we definitely go for it. So you'll find a lot of different cascading grilles in the future.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you this. Globally, what we're seeing, like you said, is becoming, it's becoming such a tough ask from you because the customer just wants more and more. The reaction that you got to the Kona globally has been fantastic, and it also shows a very significant trend. In fact, in some ways, bringing the fog lamp up here kind of reminds me of that, of large grills, slim lights. Does that encourage you to do more of that, maybe in other models?
The Kona design is just particularly just for Kona only. We have a
and
different
you said that,
SUV.
I know,
Yes.
but does that give you some room to grow now because people love it?
Let's put it this way, because design always have to evolve, and we always need to search for the fresh design statement. This is our job. This is what we have to do. If you like something, we stay with it. It's not gonna. There's no certain design that lasts forever. So this is our challenge. This is our job, and you'll find a lot of different Hyundai in the future. And if you like Kona, stay tuned. There are more to come.
Very excited to hear that. So one last thing then, which is something I always ask a designer when we're next to one of their creations.
Right.
We have 7 colors. So which is your favorite? And also one design feature that's your favorite.
I like the front, the design feature. Obviously, this is one of my favorite part. And the color, this is not easy.
I'm biased. I'm standing next to my favorite color, but
you have to check Diana green.
It looks very nice.
It's really cool. One of my favorite colors.
I saw one at the plant.
I'm not normally the green fan, but this green is something
and
special.
the interior on that is very nice.
It's very
the
nice with
interior.
exactly.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to get to know more of the car's design aspect from you, and like you said, you're promising me much more action otherwise globally. We look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.